They get stronger, and every year you get surprised as new riders that come into the fold. So this year it looked like Johnny Garnett was going to be the clear favourite, and that's not the case at all at the first round. There was a lot of riders up there mixing it with him. So hard to choose someone. Evan Belford, Moundsy, Desoy at the first round, they're all very, very strong, so it's going to be a good race.
Well, green flag is waved at the back then. 14 laps for the riders here in the R&G British Talent Cup. Red lights on, lights out, and we're underway. Good start from pole position for Evan Belford, not bad from Mounty, and also Ryan Frost on the outside of that front row. Down in towards the first corner we go of Redgate. Who's going to get the lead? It's the number 24 of Ryan Frost. Coming through is Harrison Desoy, also on the Microlist Crutchwell Racing Machine on the inside there too. They all managed to make their way through Redgate pretty cleanly for the first time as they come down through Hollywood and the crane occurs, but riders getting their elbows out at the sharp end of the field. Who's going to lead the way into the old hairpin? Well, it's still Ryan Frost for the time being. He, of course, was the leader at the first corner and gets the data tag Fast Start Award as well. So then, it is Frost from Mounty, from Desoy, as they come up the rise into McLean's for the first time.
That was a great start. They got off the line brilliantly, and then all three of them actually got a really good start, but Ryan's definitely the latest on the brakes in turn one and wasn't going to let them past.
Well, of course, these bikes are a lot smaller than the other machines that we see here at Donington Park, and that could lend itself to overtaking it some less than common places, I imagine, on these machines.
Yeah, Donington's a great track on these little bikes because they can carry so much corner speed, so places like the top of Hollywood, Craner Curves, if it's not flat out, it's almost 100% flat out on one of these bikes, and because of that they gain momentum in different areas of the track than you would on a superbike.
Not a great start to the race for pole sitter Evan Belford. He's just managed to pick the pocket of Alexander Rowan for 6th place, but he was on pole. He's now down outside the top 5 for the time being. Julian Correa looking to the inside line there of Lucas Brown coming into the Melbourne Loop. Wasn't quite able to make that move stick. The riders make their way on the run down in towards the final turn. But what a great start to the race this is turning out to be for the number 24 of Ryan Frost. Just having a look at these best results of the season so far, he only managed to finish one race at Silverstone last time out, and that was in P9, so to be circulating up the sharp end, unfamiliar territory. Not for long though, because here comes Harrison Desoy.
Harrison Desoy was confident at Silverstone. I spoke to him, he actually came to the Jerez Grand Prix. I spoke to him. Spoke too soon.
Yeah, commentator's curse there. Harrison Desoy slides out of Hollywood and out of the race, thankfully onto the grass and out of harm's way. He's up there with his arms in the air, wondering exactly what went wrong and what happened, and unfortunately his race comes to a premature conclusion at the start of lap 2. Let's have another look and see what happened. So first in your picture then, here is Harrison Desoy, a little bit wide onto the curb. I think there's going to be a smattering of contact here.
Shut
He came to blows with.
I'm not sure it was anyone's fault. It's just sort of a little bit of
No!
two points coming together there, and
Goodbye.
to know that Harrison was there, but Harrison was probably also not expecting him to be there. So disappointing end because he was looking really good into turn one.
Frustration for the race one winner at Silverstone. He's down and out. Then is Harrison Desoy. Gets another chance to put things right though tomorrow as we go 3 wide, possibly 4 wide down in towards the Fogarty S's then. Sullivan Mounty here on the outside. Ryan Frost to the inside, holds firm on the race lead. Mounty into second. Evan Belford's managed to regroup from his poor start and is now up into P3 just ahead of Ryan Frost. Keep an eye out for Julian Correa on the number 48, the red front of his machine, just ducking a wheel up the inside as Frost on the sorry, I should say that's Lucas Brown, I should say, goes through on the number 29 into 3rd place.
Great pass there. He's very strong on the brakes, went up the inside and there he's confident again into the last corner. Sometimes we found this last year with Carter Brown as well. The bigger riders tend to be more confident and stronger on the brakes. The smaller riders have more of an advantage on the straights, and it's sort of twos and fros around the lap.
Well, the newly resurfaced Donington Park circuit, all the riders have been waxing lyrical about it so far this weekend, especially here in the Honda British Talent Cup. They've been saying that it's brilliant and they've been able to ride faster and more aggressive than they've ever been able to.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've still not actually ridden it myself with the new surface, but speaking to Leon Haslam this morning, there's quite a few areas like the last turn, for example. There's bumps going in that would set the rear off as you go in. There's a change of tarmac in the middle that upset the front tyre as you went across that. And they completely resurfaced the whole track, got rid of all these. It was a bit of a patchwork quilt before, and everyone is raving about the surface.
Lucas Brown, 2 for the price of 1. He goes up the inside of Sullivan Mounty and picks the pocket of the number 24 of Ryan Frost as well. So into the race lead for the first time then here for Lucas Brown. Keep an eye out close behind as well, because Alexander Rowan, Harley McCabe, Josh Bannister, etc., all not too far adrift, just keeping their powder dry for now, but they're very much in contention here for this this one.
Yeah, 100%. This is what I was talking about there. Lucas Brown looked really strong on the brakes, but as he's slightly bigger than the other guys, he finds it harder. So we need to... We've got a long lap penalty there.
Yeah, we have. That's the number 24, Ryan Frost, who's been given a long lap penalty. So the race leader then, he'll get the board displayed when he comes across the timing line next time around. And I think he has 3 laps to serve that one. Oh, wobble out of the seat there for Lucas Brown. That's going to cost him momentum and 2 places as a result, as well as... Julian Correa and Harley McCabe go through, but back to Ryan Frost in front, but not for long, because, well, that long lap penalty, you can see it just on the outside of the Melbourne loop there. That's going to cost him a lot of time and possibly drop him right to the back of this group, such as how close they are.
Yeah, we have seen in British, I don't know, British Talent Cup, but Moto3 definitely, riders doing a long lap penalty, and they're not actually costing them that much time. If you can get around the long lap cleanly, you come back into the group, and because these races always end up in a bunch, the slipstream drags you back into the bunch, and you can still have a good race. So hopefully, if he manages to do his long lap penalty cleanly and he sees it early enough, it might not affect him too much, as he's slightly broken away here.
Yeah, I mean, what he needs to try and do now is put as much daylight between himself and the rest of the field as he possibly can. But Moundy was so quick through the old hairpin into Starkeys, and then the Schwanz curve we go, and he is looking really good in this second sector as Moundy goes through into the race lead at McLean's as well. Meanwhile, you could see just a little bit further back action taking place as Lucas Brown's just dropped down the order. There's the number 65 of Alexander Rowan, qualified pretty well on the second row of the grid. He's fighting on the white machine with Harley McCabe. Just at the back of that is Evan Belford, the pole sitter. And it's been a bit of a mixed bag at the start of the race with this one, really. So quick he was in qualifying, on pole by a tenth of a second or so over Sullivan Mounty. But it's just not been the particularly best start to his race.
No, it's been a bit... The whole bunch, to be honest, has all been... some of them have led them at points and then got back, fought their way back through. Evan, here's the long lap coming in now for Ryan. If you can do this cleanly, the important thing is to not to touch the green paint anywhere, which isn't easy to do. But he did that cleanly. Hopefully, he's not lost too much time.
Yeah, let's see where it's going to emerge. He's going to be right at the back of this gaggle then, so that drops him down to 8th place for now. Sorry, 7th place, I should say, for him, just in front of Josh Bannister. He's still within touching distance, but now he's got all of that hard work to do all over again.
Yeah, he's going to have to string a good few laps together now. He has still got time to do this, and he could really do with this front bunch. If they keep overtaking each other, that definitely helps their progress. Although Sullivan's actually broken away at the front now.
Yeah, this is great riding here from Sullivan Mounty. As I said earlier on, he's been so quick in 2023. Qualified in 2nd place at Silverstone, didn't DNF'd in the first race, and then 5th in race 2. He needs to get himself onto the podium, though, for the first time this season. Will this be the opportunity he's looking for? Ready to start lap number 6, there we are. Sullivan Mounty leads the way now from Evan Belford then with Julian Correa, Harley McCabe keeping a watching brief on proceedings and possibly looking to challenge here as Correa decides to try and pick the pocket of Evan Belford. Isn't quite able to do so into Redgate. And all the while these riders behind us squabbling, it's just allowing Mounty to extend that advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about before. It was important for Ryan Frost that this didn't happen, that a rider was able to get away at the front. Sullivan looked really fast through there the lap before, but Evan was even quicker there to get on the back of him. He's really not letting him get away.
He was the quickest rider in this group last time around, was Evan Belford. Mounty was a 1:41.7, Belford was a 1:41.2, and he's now right on the back of Sullivan Mounty then. Will he be challenging for the race lead before the end of this lap? Julian Correa a little bit wide onto the green paint there as Harley McCabe looks to his inside into McLean's. I think he was just able to sneak a wheel through and get the place. So now it's McCabe into 3rd position. Alexander Rowan there looking to the inside as well, very briefly, but darts back into the slipstream. Foggy S as we go. This is a prime opportunity for overtaking. Is Belford going to go for the lead? No, not quite for now. Belford there just sitting in 2nd place. Not been a brilliant start to his race, but is now very much in contention for the lead against Sullivan Mounty. Julian Correa also looking to the inside of Harley McCabe for 3rd place. Gets the move done, nice and clean, but runs a bit hot. McCabe gets the switch back, and he's back through onto the podium as Alexander Rowan there just a little bit out of the seat, almost like he was just trying to find momentum and drive.
Yeah, a really good ride this from Harley. He was racing for the Vision Track team last year, moved to his own team this year, but a very strong ride, and we've also got Evan Belford now. He's broken away from the pack chasing Sullivan, so it'll be interesting if Sullivan is doing his best. He's went purple in the last sector there, but Evan also did his fastest lap of the race, doing 40.9.
Yeah, could very well be on for his first win of the season. A little bit further down, you just see the battle on the fringes of the top 10 and just on the fringes of the point as well. Filip Sorowiak in there. Filip actually racing with a broken wrist here this weekend, or a recovering broken wrist, I should say, after a crash at Silverstone. Was cleared by the medics to race, but he's going to be riding through the paint barrier, and he's doing a great job circulating just ahead of Clayton Edmonds in P11.
Every time I think someone's going to get to the front and break away, they get overtaken. I'm not going to predict anything anymore.
Julian Correa again, just flirting with the green on the outside of McLean's, I should say, and that's the second time we've seen him do that. So the stewards, again, we know that they're pretty firm on track limits. We know they can hand out long lap penalties, or indeed, if it's a bit too late in the race, time penalties. So he's just going to have to be a bit careful about that. Here comes Sullivan Mounty trying to repay the favour on Belfort for the race lead, and does so. So it's now Mounty back in front, does the universal tap on the tail, which is the body language that never seems to work.
It's a universal tap on the tail that means follow me, but has never ever resulted in anyone following anyone. As we see Evan go straight back past him.
It's a good thing they're not gambling people, isn't it? Because
follow me back.
Exactly, so it doesn't work like that.
Oh, I love it.
On the run down into Goddard's corner, this is where it's been resurfaced. This is where the riders are talking about the lack of bumps. It was so bumpy on the inside. It's an off-camber corner, really quite a tricky one from a bike perspective, because it's so easy to tap the front, but now it's an overtaking opportunity here.
It is. In the past, if people remember, especially in the superbike class, when you're braking in there's a bump going in which would kick the back wheel up in the air, which then automatically unsettled you a bit as you were going into the corner. But at the apex, there was also a change in tarmac, and it's a little bit off camber downhill as you're going into the apex, and it's so easy to lose the front. So it often made people nervous about overtaking people in there. That's all gone now. And straight away, even in the Super Pole session we saw a moment ago, it's definitely making people more confident on the brakes in there. So it opens up the opportunity for more last lap, last corner lunges.
Look at the great drive that Harley McCabe was able to get through the old hairpin, carrying that momentum through Starkeys and Schwant into McLean's, and he is now really close to the back of Sullivan Mounty. Belfort there in front, as I said before, possibly a championship favourite, as Charlie Barnes has entered the pit lane, unfortunately for him. Started at the back of the grid in this one, and unfortunately his race comes to a premature conclusion.
I do like the tapping the seat unit tactic, because if you can get that to work the whole way to the line, you will win the race.
But it never does. Riders have been trying it for years, and it never seems to work. They always, especially in the Talent Cup, they always just go absolutely hell for leather. And well, you can see these riders all running nose-to-tail with one another for the time being. Bit of a look over the shoulder there for Sullivan Mounty, just seeing who he's got for company. It's Harley McCabe who's immediately behind him. Then it's Julian Correa. Correa having a really good run of things out there in fourth place as well on board his Microlis Cresswell racing machine. Fourth in number 40. That's like it's Jones holding Sullivan Mounty's board down there as well. So good to see some inter-championship support. Oh, and unfortunately that is a rider who has gone down. That's Ted Wilkinson. Looks like it's on the exit of the Melbourne Loop. Marshall's over to his aid. Hopefully he is okay, and there'll be definitely yellow flags down there for the time being, as Evan Belfort has smashed the lap record. He's had his lead taken away by Harley McCabe at the sharp end of the field, and Belfort now relegated down into second as they go very close to one another through the left-hander. Mounty keeping a watching brief there in third position, flicking it left, then into the right of McLean's. Belfort back in front then from Harley McCabe. Here comes Julian Correa leaning on the inside of Sullivan Mounty, but for how long? Because he might be ready to try and make a move into Coppice. Let's have another look and see if we can see what happened here to Ted Wilkinson. I think this might be a bit of a high side here on the power.
Yeah, very easily done at the Melbourne Loop. Just as you're trying to ask for more and more power, you're obviously very lent over because it's a hairpin corner, and then just as you're trying to pick it up, it's a balancing act of opening the throttle, but also picking the bike up to give you grip. And unfortunately, just got caught out a little bit too much throttle whilst he's still lent over, and over the high side he went.
Well, he's winded, but he's up and moving away. Yellow flags are out in that corner, so no overtaking into the Melbourne Loop for those riders, which removes an opportunity to make a move. As now it's Sullivan Mounty in front. Look at the chatter on the front end from Belford's bike.
Yeah, you could see it moving a lot there under the brakes. They're braking very late into there. It's, I think as well, what's worth pointing out in the British Talent Cup is because On the lap before, we saw Belford break the lap record. He did a 40.8, and 2 corners later, he gets passed by Harley McCabe. Even though he's breaking the lap record at the front, it's very easy for riders behind to use the slipstream and use that added speed advantage to stay with the bike in front. And although you might feel like you're at the front and you are the fastest rider, because they're getting an advantage the whole time behind you, it's difficult to break away.
So through into the Old Hairpin we go. It is Mounsey who is in front from Harley McCabe. Then Evan Belford really close behind. Great momentum. He is able to carry through the Old Hairpin. Is he going to try and set something up into the right-hander? Not quite through there. Flicking it onto the right-hand side of the tyre. Lucas Brown still very much in contention of this one. He was right at the sharp end, battling for the lead in the early stages of this one, and he's very much in contention to try and get himself involved in the action here.
He also did the fastest first sector of the race so far in that last lap. So, yeah, he looked very strong on the brakes at the start of the race, and as this race progresses, when we get into the final 2 laps, it's going to be very important to see who's the latest on the brakes, because we have 3 heavy braking corners. There's the chicane, the Melbourne Loop and Goddard's, and they're really going to have to stretch away from him to avoid being passed on the brakes in there.
So down into the Melbourne Loop we go. You can see there Julian Correa just looking half up the inside. Just want to say, really good ride also from Ronnie Harris, down in 14th place on the number 66. His first season in the R&G British Talent Cup. Inside the points after starting down in 19th on the grid. He's having a really good ride of things so far and could be on for a point-scoring finish here at Donington Park then. So lap 11 we begin with Mounsey in front. Further down the order, this is Ollie Walker on board the number 48. This is on the fringes of the top 10. P11, then Peter Willis behind Clayton Edmonds. Then it is Ronnie Harris on board the number 66 on the black machine, just at the back of this gaggle of riders at the moment. In towards the first corner of Redgate they go, all running really close to one another. The thing is, for the riders who are perhaps a little bit less experienced, it's really interesting to see how well they're fighting amongst one another, because of course, even though they're not necessarily at the sharp end of the field, they're all learning their racecraft.
Yeah, the thing sometimes now with junior classes is, although they're very young, they're not actually that inexperienced. They ride O'Varley bikes and mini motos from an early age. Some of these riders have perhaps started from 4 or 5 years old, so they get to the British Championship, they've already had 10 years racing experience, so they ride close, they ride fair and hard, and it's good racing, and it's really exciting to watch.
Well, Josh Bannister, who is in 8th place at the moment, he's been riding, as you say, since he was 4 years old. I remember watching him.
He was actually my teammate, bizarrely enough. When I raced in the WD-40 team in 2015, he was riding a mini moto then. So yeah, it's funny seeing him racing in this. He's still in the junior ranks, but he feels like he's been around forever for me.
Well, he's got no problems with racecraft there in 8th place. Evan Belford looking to the inside of Harley McCabe. There is Julian Correa also in turn, looking to get past Lucas Brown. All the riders exit the corner in the same positions that they entered as they go down in towards the Melbourne Loop. So if you're Harley McCabe, Evan Belford, etc., all sitting behind Sullivan Mounsey, what do you think is going to be going through these riders' minds at this particular point?
Currently, well, Harley's telling Evan, oh no, has he got a problem?
I think he might have, I think he has, yeah. He's got a technical problem here for Harley McCabe. That's dropping him down the order. He just manages to hold himself ahead there of Julian Correa. I wonder if he just missed a gear coming off the corner or something, because it looks like he's been able to regroup, and he's now looking like, as he comes down through the Craner curves, he's circulating okay and the bike seems fine. Very strange. It looked like he went to take his hand off the handlebar, but I don't know if that was to signal that he had a problem, and then carried on like nothing had happened. Ryan Frost actually on that last lap set the fastest lap of the race. That's a new lap record as well. So coming into the latter stage of this race, despite his long lap penalty, he's still pushing on and going fast. Well, this is going to be very exciting to see what happens when the race reaches its conclusion. So 2 laps then remaining here at Donington Park. It is Mounsey in front from Evan Belford. Then it is Lucas Brown, who is very much in contention on board that black number 29 machine. Belford, as we said, difficult season for him in 2022. Had a broken leg, sidelined him for a good amount of time, and trying to have a stronger run of things in 2023. In terms of his championship position, he was P3, just 4 points adrift of Harrison Desoy and Emmanuel Brinton at the top. So he's definitely in contention to take over at the top of the standings here. Yeah, it's a long season as well. There's a lot of races to go yet, so it's important just to keep scoring points and keep finishing these races. We had a lot of DNFs last year between Carter Brown and Johnny Garness, and it sort of
it kept it going the whole way to the end. But it's a long, hard season, so it's important to be consistent.
Just dropped off the back of this group as well is Ryan Frost and Alexander Rowan. They're just circulating a little bit further back, as you can see, just out of touching distance really of the top 5. There is Ryan Frost, but he managed to set the overall lap record last time around, so he's still got plenty of pace, but it's just not going to be, I think, quite enough for him to challenge for the podium positions here.
Unfortunately for him, normally a long lap penalty costs you about 3 seconds, and he's currently 2 seconds behind first, so had he have not had that penalty, I'm pretty sure he would have been right in front of this bunch. But he did, so he's broke the lap record the last 2 laps. He's running out of time now. We've only got a lap and a half remaining, and 1.2 seconds to the rider in front.
Belfort goes through on Mounsey for the race lead at McLean's, then over the rise into Coppice we go. The rear goes light under braking here, but Mounsey gets the momentum and gets the drive, gets the lead of the race back as well in turn. Can he hold it coming down into the foggy S's though? That's the crucial question. What about Harley McCabe? What about Lucas Brown? Are they going to try and get themselves involved in the action? Will we see a few dress rehearsal moves ready for the final lap? Belfort going for the inside line to the foggy S's. He's a bit too late there. One of the big strengths of Sullivan Mounsey has been on the brakes so far this season. He is just able to brake so late and so aggressively, and seems to always manage to make an apex of some description.
Yeah, again though, he's almost pulling away on the brakes. I definitely noticed earlier in the race that Harley's strengths were the first half of the track, and the crane and curves is where he's made a lot of his passes. Sullivan, I will have to say, if he kept his hands on the handlebars and stopped looking behind so much, he would definitely have been broken away at points, I think. Every time he looks behind, it costs you a little bit in your aerodynamics because you sat up and you lose speed down the straight. And it also gives a mental advantage to the guys behind you, saying, I'm thinking about what you're doing rather than just concentrating on getting away. As Harley makes a great pass there on Evan.
Lovely. Up into second place for Harley McCabe. Out of the Redgate corner we go on the start of the final lap. I wonder whether it may just be too tall of an ask for Brown and Correa, who are circulating just a little bit further back. Here comes Belfort trying to go for the inside line on Sullivan Mounsey through the old hairpin, a little bit wide on the edge of the corner, could cost Mounsey drive, and does. He's going to possibly be under threat here from Harley McCabe as well, as Belfort goes around his outside. McCabe tries to join in the party as well. Here comes Lucas Brown and Julian Correa as Brown goes up the inside of McCabe and Mounsey into McLean's then. So half a lap to go here. It is now Belfort who leads the way from Mounsey, from Brown. McCabe trying to see his way back up the inside here. It's going to be anybody's guess.
Yeah, I did not expect that with this amount of corners to go. Evans broken away here slightly. Sullivan's going to do everything he can to get back on the brakes into this corner, and then he's going to have 2 attempts left into the Melbourne Loop. He has managed to close the gap again, so Melbourne Loop and Goddard's remaining.
So out of the foggy S's we go then. It's Belfort in front from Sullivan Mounsey on the run. Down into the Melbourne Loop we go. Mounsey goes to the inside of Belfort. Keep an eye out for Brown in the background there as well. Mounsey up the inside and into the race lead. Can he get the bike stopped, or is Belfort going to get it on the switch back on the exit of the corner? Contact between the two. Bit of elbow bashing. One corner then now remains here in the RNG British Talent Cup. Mounsey to the inside. Can he get the bike stopped though? On the inside as well is Harley McCabe on Lucas Brown, and high sides out the final corner. Does Harley McCabe. Huge drama at the end of this race. It's Sullivan Mounsey though with his first win of 2023 from Evan Belfort and Lucas Brown on the podium. Commiserations to Harley McCabe after a dramatic